हरे राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 जय जगन्नाथ बलदेवा सुभद्रम जय सुदर्शन जय नृसिंहदेव जय नृसिंहदेव जय गौरनिता जय गौरनिता जय प्रभुपदा जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद एसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की इस्कॉन फाउंडराचार्य बीबीटी फाउंडराचार्य हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की समवेद भक्त वृंद की समवेद भक्त वृंद की समवेद भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So we heartily welcome all the devotees who have come for this Sunday feast program. And I hear that every Sunday, uh, in the Sunday class, we have been regularly discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning from the first canto, first chapter. So it's very nice to know that. And today, what is it?
ಕನ್ನಡ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಯಾರು ಕನ್ನಡ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಬೇಕೋ ಸಂತುಷ್ಟ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಪ್ರಭು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡ ಯಾರು ಬೇಕೋ ಅವ್ರು ಸಂತುಷ್ಟ ಅಂತ ಹೋಗಿ
ಕನ್ನಡ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಬೇಕು?
हिंदी हिंदी के लिए इधर रविनाथ ऋषिकेश
हाथ उठाइए रविनाथ ऋषिकेश। हाँ, संतोष।
हिंदी के लिए
and 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 those who understand English, they can all come front.
we can come friends. Please come friends because later lot of people will come. Lot of space is there. Here
You
lot
can
of
all
space.
come front. You can come front. Come in the front. And you can all keep your mobiles in silent or switch off mode. And if the mobile rings, you'll have to sponsor the feast. That's the price you'll have to pay. Okay. So I've been hearing that regularly you're discussing verse by verse in the Sunday feast, and today we are on the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, 7th chapter, verse number 7. So we'll just recite this verse and then we will discuss about it. Verse 7 is displayed? Yeah. यस्याम्बशमानम् कृष्णे परमपुरुषे भक्तिरुत्पदते पुंसः शोकमोहभयापहा यस्यां वैश्वमानानां कृष्णे परमपुरुषे भक्तिरुत्पदते पुंसः शोकमोहभयापहा यस्यां वैश्वमानायाम् कृष्णे परमपुरुषे भक्तिरुत्पद्यते पुंसः शोकमोहभयापहा. One side only one Prabhuji can recite. From the other side, Mataji's one can recite. Any one Prabhuji's who would like to recite. Yes, yes. Mataji's. We will read the word to word meaning and the translation. The commentary, as we are discussing, we will that time discuss the commentary also. Yasya, this Vedic literature, why? Certainly, Shuyamanayam, simply by giving oral reception. Krishne, unto Lord Krishna, Parama, Supreme, Purushe, unto the personality of Godhead. Bhakti, feelings of love, of devotional service. Utpadyate, sprout up. Pumsaha, of the living beings. Shoka, lamentation. Moha, illusion. Bhaya, fearfulness. Apaha, that which extinguishes. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feelings of loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. So I will discuss the purport a little later. Uh, I will discuss this class based on three parts. Firstly, uh, these set of verses, Srimad Bhagavatam 1, 7, 4, 5, 6, and 7. These four verses are called as the seed verses of the Bhagavatam. So I will just take you through these four verses, which are the seed verses of Bhagavatam, and I will be giving a little background why they are called as the seed verses of the Bhagavatam. And then later on, I'll be discussing these seed verses 4, 5, 6, 7, very 4, 5, 6 very briefly because our discussion is today on the seventh verse. So I'll have to touch because when we know a little bit about the fourth, fifth, and the sixth verse, then only we can understand what is being spoken in the seventh verse. And then thirdly, after explaining what this verse is meaning, we'll go into the meaning of the verse. Then we will go into the commentary of Srila Prabhupada and try to understand what Prabhupada is trying to say in his commentary. So, three parts. And you understood what are the three parts? First is the background in the whole discussion. Second is these four seed verses. And third, we will come to this verse which is discussing and then the commentary. So, Bhagavatam, which is now available to us, this Bhagavatam, it manifested in the Bhauma Leela. Bhauma means on this earth. Then the Bhauma Leela, it manifested through the conversation of Narad and Vyas. So the conversation between Narad and Vyas is narrated in the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto from fourth chapter to the sixth chapter, you can say. In the seventh chapter also there is a little continuity, but Narad leaves. After instructing Vyas, he leaves. He gives them instructions that Samadhina Anusmara. You absorb yourself in Samadhi and you meditate on the pastimes of the Lord and you compose this Bhagavatam, because Vyasa was dissatisfied even after compiling all the Vedas, Puranas, Vedanta Sutra, Mahabharata. Still he was feeling dissatisfaction in his heart. And the root of that despondency was because he had not exclusively glorified the path of bhakti and glorification of Bhagavan. So that is why there was dissatisfaction. Yenatma suprasidhiti did not happen to even Vyas. It doesn't mean Vyas is an avatar. He is Krishna, Dwapa and Vyas. But it is a pastime that if Vyas is not that satisfied after compiling Vedanta Sutra, then who will be satisfied reading Vedanta Sutra? So ultimately Narad comes and instructs him that Samadhina Anusmara, and meditate on the pastimes and compose. So he had composed the 18 Puranas, and among the Sattvic category of the Puranas is also the Bhagavad Purana. But now, based on the instructions of Vyas, the first few verses, the first three verses mention that how Vyas, Shaunak Rishi mentions that after Vyas had heard the instructions from Narad, after Narad departed, what did Vyas do? Vyas sat on the Pashchimatate in his ashram, Saraswatya Nadhyam, on the Saraswati Nadi, that is in Badrika ashram. And it is called, his ashram is called as Samya Prasha. There he sat, and then Badri Sanda Mandita, where there are the Badri trees there. There he sat in meditation. And in his meditation, what he saw. What he saw is mentioned in verses 4, 5, 6 and 7. In these four verses, Vyas, what did he see in his meditation is mentioned. Now let's go to verse 4. Now, there are two examples in the Srimad Bhagavatam where personalities directly experienced Krishna. And the two personalities are Sukadeva Goswami and Vyas. Sukadeva Goswami, when he was born only, he took to the renounced order of life. He was a Parivrajaka and he was in the forest. But after Vyas compiled the Amal Puran Srimad Bhagavatam, he knew that only his son is qualified to understand the scripture. So he sent his disciples, to search out his son. But they knew that his son is absorbed in the bliss of Brahman, and nothing material can disturb him. But these disciples, they recited two shlokas from the Bhagavatam. One is the mercy of the Lord, Ahobakyam Stanakala Utam. And they recited another verse, Varha Pidam Natavara Karnayo Karni Karanam. One is explaining the beauty of Krishna. So when these disciples recited this verse, first verse, Varaha Pidam Natvara Karnayo Karnikaram, I'll not go into the details. The beauty of Krishna is explained. Moment Sukdev heard this verse, his meditation broke. Who is this beautiful, attractive personality? He was so attracted, he started running towards that sound. Where is the sound coming from? Who's reciting? But suddenly he stopped. Somebody who's beautiful now is very proud. So he stopped. But then he heard this verse. Aho Bakyam Stanakalukutam. That how Baki, who is Putana, who had come filled with poison in her breast to feed Krishna, but to kill. Krishna gave him the stan of a dhatri. Kamba dayalu sharanam braje. So when Sukdev heard this next verse, you know, then he understood the merciful nature of Krishna, and immediately he came running towards these reciters, and then that's how he came back to the ashram as his father, and he learned the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam, even though one is liberated and absorbed in the bliss of Brahman, can attract them. That is the potency of the Bhagavatam. And we, have difficulty in sitting and hearing for our Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is Sukdev Goswami, transformation of his consciousness, which happened. The second case is of Vyas. Now Vyas, he did not hear the verses of Bhagavatam. He actually, in his divine vision, which is called as Divya Pratyaksh. Pratyaksh means to see with our eyes, but Divya Pratyaksh means to see with divine eyes. So in his divine eyes, he saw actually Krishna, and he saw Maya, and he saw how the jivas are entangled in Maya, and he also saw what is the solution for the jivas to come out of Maya. And these are the four seed verses of Bhagavatam where his divine vision is narrated by Suta Goswami. That is the background. I hope you are able to catch what I'm trying to say. So these are the four verses. So I will briefly touch upon these four verses because they are all connected. Let's recite. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite male apashyat purusham purnam mayam cha yad apashrayam. So Vyas meditation was not the meditation which the Ashtanga yogis do. It is Bhakti Yogena Manasi. By the process of Bhakti Yoga. Hmm? Samyak means perfectly. Pranahita Amale. With a heart completely pure. No mala in it. Apashat means he saw. Now Vyas in his divine vision, what he saw? Purusham Purnam. He actually saw Krishna. And then he saw what? Mayam cha yad apashrayam. And he saw Maya also. And how Maya is completely under the shelter of Krishna. Krishna is Mayadish. He is the controller of Maya. We are Maya Vash. We are controlled by Maya. So two things he saw. One is Krishna and Maya. And Maya is under the complete control of Krishna. So in the next verse it is mentioned. Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunaatmakam paropi manyate anartham tatkritam cha vipadyate. So what else he saw? He saw Krishna, he saw Maya, and Maya is completely under the shelter of Krishna. But he also saw the jivas. And these jivas, yaya sammohita. The jivas are illusioned by what? Maya, not by Krishna. Yaya sammohita jiva. Atmanam. Three Guna Atmika. Although they are transcendental, but they have accepted these three modes. They have accepted this body. And this is what, although they are para, but they have accepted this anartha as this body, hmm, which is made of three modes. Hmm, Three gunatmaka, you know, and that is why they are undergoing misery. They are undergoing misery. So this is the third thing he saw. Of course, we cannot go into the in-depth analysis of these four verses, but one should study these four verses in detail. There are like two places where the seed verses of Bhagavatam are mentioned. One is this, and another is which one? Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. They are the four seed verses of Bhagavatam. So one should study in detail these seed verses of the Bhagavatam. This and the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. So now Vyas in his mystic vision he saw jivas, and the jivas are bewildered by Maya. Now this proves that there is difference between Krishna and the jivas. Maya is under the complete shelter of Krishna, but jivas are completely bewildered by Maya. So the jiva and the Krishna are not one, as the Mayavadis propagate. And we are all in one sense Mayavadis because we are in the material world, because we want to become Krishna. We want to become enjoyers. You know, enjoyer is Purusha. Purusha meaning is not only male, Purusha also means enjoyer. And Purusha enjoys what? His Shaktis. And Prakriti means, Shakti. It is Trilinga. But the Jiva who is Prakriti, Bhinna Prakriti Ashtada is the Ashtada Prakriti, the material energy. And there is the superior Prakriti, Jiva Bhuta. The Jiva Bhuta is also the energy and it is Prakriti. But this Prakriti wants to become Purusha. And in order to become Purusha, now he's put in Maya and he thinks he's a Purusha and he's trying to enjoy Maya, but he's bewildered by Maya and he's going through the misery. This is the root of the problem. That why we are suffering? Because the tendency to enjoy. That is the root anartha. Tendency to Purusha. Purusha bhava is there. Whether it is in the male body or a female body, doesn't matter. So now he saw Jiva, you know. So there is dualism. Krishna, between Krishna and the Jivas. It's not non-dual, that they are same, right? So here, a very detailed explanation of how there is difference between Jiva and Krishna has to be understood. This is like a foundational subject which we should need to study in detail because this is a root. We have to get convinced that we are not Ishwar. We are not enjoyers. We are not Purusha. We are Prakriti. And it takes quite a long time in this material world for us to understand that. Because the tendency to enjoy is there from many, 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 many lifetimes. So he saw this. Now he has seen what all now? He has seen Krishna, Maya, which is under the shelter of Krishna, and then he has seen the Jivas, who are completely bewildered by Maya. Although they are transcendental, but they are, because of this anartha, they are suffering. Now in the next verse, he sees the solution. What happened? Started? So there are three things which we need to understand in the Vedas. Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojan. So in the first two verses of the seed verses, the Sambandha is established. That our relationship is not with this world, which is Maya, but our relationship is with Krishna. Because we are now in yoga, the Jiva is always in yoga. Right now we're in yoga with what? Maya, Prakriti. But now we have to do Viyoga and establish our yoga with Krishna. So the ultimate Sambandha Vastu is who? Purusham Purnam. Purusham Purnam is who? Krishna. So this is Sambandha. Now, in this sixth verse, what happened? Okay, in the sixth verse, Abhidheya. What is the solution now? Vyasdev sees the solution. Solution for whom? The jivas who are entrapped in Maya. Anartho pushmam saksha bhakti yogam madhokshaje lokasya janato vidvams chakre satvata samhitam. So this is the anartha. The anartha is that although he is paro, but he has established, he has thinks he is this body. Anartham, that is the anartha, this body. Anartho upashamam. Upashamam means to mitigate. What is the remedy? Sakshad bhakti yogam adokshaje. One should practice bhakti yoga unto adokshaja. Adokshaja is referring to Krishna, who cannot be seen with our senses, who cannot be experienced with our senses, material senses, because he is beyond the senses, mind, and the intellect. And that's why Krishna's name is Adokshaja. So, Sakshat Bhakti Yogam Adokshaje. Lokasya Ajananta. The people of this world don't know the remedy to solve the miseries of their material existence. Lokasya Ajananto Chakre. Chakre means to compile. Vidwan, the great learned Vyasadev, Satvata Samhita. He composed this Samhita, which is called as the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it is a Sattvatam Samhita. It establishes our relationship with Krishna. Krishna is Sat, we are also Sat. And the devotees are also called as Sat. So here, as I was mentioning, the first two verses, 4 and 5, explain what? Sambandha. And the Abhidheya is explained in verse number 6. Abhidheya is what? To practice. What is Abhidheya? Bhakti. Sakshad Bhakti Yogam Adoksha. So the Abhidheya has been mentioned. So in Vyas mystic vision, he's actually seeing in his divine vision, he's seeing Krishna, he's seeing Maya completely under the shelter of Krishna, and he's seeing the jivas bewildered by Maya, and he sees the remedy also there. He sees the remedy is Bhakti Yogam Adokshaji. So this is the remedy. And that is why he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now here, Bhakti Yoga, are you able to get it? So here Bhakti Yoga means sadhana bhakti. Bhakti Yoga means what? Sadhana bhakti. So by doing sadhana bhakti, you will attain what? Sadhya bhakti. Sadhya bhakti. So there is Sambandha, Abhidheya is mentioned in this verse. Now in this last verse, which is today's verse of discussion, Prayojan. The Prayojan is discussed. And this verse is discussing Prayojan. Now how this verse is discussing Prayojan, you can see the verse in the board, and again, once again, we'll recite. Yasya Vaishyamananam Krishne Paramapurushe Bhaktir Utpadate Pumsa शोकमोहापयापहम्. So, I mentioned that there are two transformations which happened to two great personalities by which they realized the absolute truth directly. And who are the two personalities? Shukdev Goswami and Vyasdev. So, anyone here in the audience who is like Shukdev Goswami, right when he was born, he went, took sannyas. No reformations happened. Moment he was born, he was in the forest, absorbed in the bliss of Brahman. Anyone here? No? Then Vyasdev, his Krishna Dwapayan Vyas. Anyone who has some divine mystic vision, where you can see Krishna, Maya, and how. So it can only happen to Vyas, because Vyas is directly an avatar of the Lord. So Vyas realized the absolute truth in his divine vision. Sukdev realized the absolute truth, in his consciousness, directly in his consciousness. But for us, lokasya ajananta. For us, we have to take a lot of troubles. And what is the trouble we have to take? We have to study the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we can realize the absolute truth. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 2, धर्म प्रोजित कैतवत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणाम सताम वेदम वास्तवम वस्तु अत्र शिवदम तापत्रयन्मूलनम श्रीमद्भागवते महामुने कृते किं वा परे साध्यो हृद्यवृत्तते शुशुभिस्तत्क्षणात्. धर्म प्रोजित कैतव, the kaitava dharma artha kama moksha, it's called as kaitava dharma. Even moksha is considered as kaitava dharma. Hmm. After liberation, you know, what I should do? Nobody asked this question. But Sanatan Goswami asked this to, you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So after liberation, there are activities of the soul, and those activities are called as bhakti. You know. So this is the Panchama Purushartha, prema, love. You know. So in this world, there cannot be any love. You have to get convinced about it. Because either the lover will leave this world and the beloved will leave in this world. And when they leave, that love ceases to exist. But we are eternal, the Lord is eternal. And that eternal relationship cannot break at any point. So love can exist only between the Jiva and the Lord, between the Purusha and the Prakriti. So for us, Vedam Vastavam Vastu. Vastavam Vastu means the absolute reality. That can be realized by studying who's that absolute. And who's that absolute? Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdate. That absolute truth is defined as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. And this Srimad Bhagavatam has 10 subjects. अत्र सर्ग विसर्गश्च स्थानं पोषणमूतय मन्वंतर ईशानुकथा मुक्तिर्निरोधाश्रय. The Srimad Bhagavatam has 10 topics. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the absolute truth is realized. And Srimad Bhagavatam has how many topics? 10 topics. And these 10 topics are spread in the 12 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So if we want to realize the Lord, it cannot happen as it happened for Vyas nor for Sukdev. It can happen by what? By hearing this Srimad Bhagavatam. Yasyam vai shruyamananam. So Prabhupada in the word to word Yasyam means this literature, this Srimad Bhagavatam. And why means certainly. Certainly, only this literature, only by studying Srimad Bhagavatam, the absolute truth is revealed, not by reading any other scripture. In India, especially, the trend is there. You want to hear this Puran, that Puran, but that will never reveal the absolute truth. Vyasadeva himself is telling, and Shuyamanana, just by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport mentions that among all the senses, the ear is very important. The ears. Because even when you're sleeping, you know, you can protect yourself by the ears. You can protect your body. When you're awake, other senses can help you in protecting you. But when you're sleeping, the other senses are inactive. But ear is active. And that is why, you can protect yourself. Similarly, we are all sleeping in the lap of Maya. We are all sleeping in the lap of Maya. And by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we can awaken. Now, actually, we are not awake here. We are still sleeping. I'm not speaking about the, sleep which troubles us because of the mode of ignorance. The real awakening is when we awaken to our constitutional position as Jiva and we know our relationship with Krishna. And in what relationship we are exchanging rasa with Krishna, whether in Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, Madhuryaras, or Dasyaras. That is real awakening. So, yasyam vai shruyamananam. So, Prabhupada is emphasizing how one should hear Bhagavatam. And Bhagavatam is non-different from the Lord. By hearing Bhagavatam, you'll become attached to the Lord. Yasyam vai shruyamananam Krishne Parama Purusha. Now, in the fourth verse of the seed verses of Bhagavatam, in the fourth verse, it was mentioned Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranita Male Pashat Apashat Purusham Purnam. Vyas saw whom? Purusham Purnam. But who is that Purusham Purnam was not clear there, although it refers to Krishna. But here it is very clear. It is who? Krishna, who is the Parama Purusha. And Bhaktir Udpadate Pumsa. So I was mentioning this last verse, this seventh verse among the three topics, Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan. We have already discussed that first two verses are Sambandha. The sixth verse is Abhidheya because one should practice bhakti towards Adoksha. And this verse I said is what? Prayojan. So how this verse is Prayojan? If you see in this verse word to word meaning, Prabhupada says bhakti is what? Feelings of devotional service. So actually Prabhupada is saying bhakti means bhav. Bhakti means what? Bhav. Spiritual emotions of the soul. So this is indicating what? Prayojan. Sadhana bhakti has been indicated in the previous verse. And this verse is indicating what? Sadhya bhakti. That is prem or bhava. And when we attain this bhava, udpadate means it manifests on its own. It's not it is something acquired externally. By sadhana bhakti, ultimately the Lord's spiritual potency manifests in the heart and one attains bhava. Pure spiritual feelings for the Lord. This is called as bhava bhakti. Bhaktir udate pumsa, and then it is mentioned shoka moha bhayapaha. And what is the result when this prayojan you attain? When you attain this goal, prayojan, what happens? Shoka, moha, and bhaya. Now, we all here in our beginning days of Krishna consciousness, we are not the body, we are the spirit, soul. But although we understand this theoretically, and we start practicing bhakti, but still we need to realize that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. That is one level. I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. And how do we know we are not realized that we are not the body, we are the spirit soul? How do you know that we have not realized it? When these miseries are still there. Lamentation, fear, fear of material existence, fear is a, you know, general principle which troubles every living entity in this material existence. Fear of losing things, or fear of even the body, what will happen to me, but you're not the body. So shoka moha bhayapa are the deep rooted samskars in the heart, and this samskars which are deep rooted is called as avidya. And this avidya is destroyed at the stage of bhava. So, although theoretically, in our practice of Krishna consciousness, we understand we are not this body, we are spirit soul, but the illusion continues. Even in our sadhana stage, the illusion continues. And this illusion breaks completely when we attain bhava. When we attain bhava. And only then the result manifests in the form of shoka moha bhayapaha. Shokamoha Bhayapaha. So that's what this verse is saying. Now in the purport, I was mentioning that Prabhupada in the first paragraph, if you see, among all the various senses, the ear is most important, he says. So even in deep sleep, you can be protected. So similarly, the ear can protect us and awaken the soul to its relation to Krishna. This is the potency of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the next paragraph, Srila Prabhupada explains. It's a very interesting statement Prabhupada makes, that the ultimate result of devotional service is to develop genuine love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So bhava, as we're explaining, no? Bhava means love of Godhead. And Prabhupada says there cannot be any love in this world, because this so-called love is for the body. Real love can exist only between Purusha and the Prakriti, not between the Prakriti and the Prakriti, he says. So Prabhupada explains that what is Purusha and Prakriti. And then Prabhupada explains in the purport how this beginning of love begins by hearing about Krishna. And by hearing about Krishna, we can become attached to Krishna. And then in the last, it is very interesting. Prabhupada explains that Krishna refers to who? It is Swayam Bhagwan Krishna. Sut Goswami has established that Krishna is the topmost. Swayam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So here also it is established. Krishna Parama Purusha. And who is this Krishna? Now the dictionary meaning of Krishna is taken here. Now who is this Krishna? It's very interesting. Please hear this last part very attentively. Every jiva, every jiva, even if he doesn't know, he has a relationship with Krishna. And when you hear the word Krishna, you get connected because you are part and parcel of Krishna. So this Krishna cannot refer to Arjuna because Arjuna's name is also Krishna. This Krishna cannot refer to Vyas because Vyas is also called by the name Krishna. This Krishna only refers to Vrindavan Krishna. So from the Sanskrit derivation, the Nama Kovadi Prabhupada mentions, Krishna means one who sucks the breast of Mother Yashoda. You know, he is what? Yashoda Nandan. It is not referring to Devaki Nandan because he is what? Mathura Krishna. But it is referring to Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. So directly it is referring to the avatari or Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. So that is how Srila Prabhupada explains. So I'll summarize what I discussed in this short class. This seventh verse we gave a little background how these are the seed verses of the Bhagavatam. In the Bhauma Leela, how Bhagavatam manifested, it is manifested to the Narad Vyas Samvad. And after Narad instructs and leaves, based on the instructions, Vyas sits in Samadhi, and in the Samadhi he sees Krishna, Maya, which is under the shelter of Krishna, and how the jivas are bewildered by Maya because of Anartha. And the solution also he sees, that is Bhakti Sadhana. And there are only two personalities who had the transformation of consciousness. One is Sukhdev, other is Vyas in his Divya Pratyaksh. But for us, we have to what? Hear the Srimad Bhagavatam right from the beginning to the end. Because the absolute truth can be realized by studying these 10 topics. And in this verse, Yasyam Vaishvayamana means to hear. And even in deep sleep, one can protect his body. Similarly, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, one can awaken the soul to its constitutional position. And Krishna Parama Purusha refers to Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. And this verse is, describing the third subject which the Vedas speak, that is Prayojan. Because bhakti is referring to here what? Prema or bhava. In the previous verse also it was mentioned. Huh? In the previous verse, bhakti yogam adokshachi. So that is sadhana bhakti. Whereas this verse is what? Sadhya bhakti. It is sadhya bhakti. And shoka moha bhayapa. Although one might be practicing sadhana bhakti, but the illusion continues. You know, because we are not still free from the bodily consciousness. Only when we attain sadhya bhakti, then tapatrayan moolanam. From the root, our avidya is destroyed. And then we awaken in our relationship to Krishna in different mellows. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any questions, any clarifications, any comments anyone has?
You said you said there's a difference between Krishna, Devaki's son, and Yashoda. What's the difference?
Question is that there is a difference between the son of Devaki and the son of Yashoda. The son of Devaki is, Krishna in Mathura, who is in a different feature. He's in his Aishwarya feature. But the Mool Krishna, Sham Sundar Krishna, is Swayam Bhagwan Krishna, who only is in Vrindavan. So Krishna expands himself from Golok Vrindavan into different features. And in Mathura and Dwarka, he is in his Aishwarya feature. He is Krishna himself, but in his Aishwarya feature, where the devotees worship him, they have relationship with him, but they also know he is God. But in his Vrindavan Sham Sundar feature, he is filled with sweetness and intimacy, where the devotees never consider him as God. They consider him as a son, or a lover, or a friend. So that is Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. And then he expands into Narayan and Vishnu in the various Vaikuntha. He is also Krishna, but again in his Aishwarya feature. So there the relationship is not intimate. So here Bhava refers to that intimate relationship, and that's why it is referring to Sham Sundar Krishna.
But what I'm not understanding is that what was the Leela where his father takes him in a basket and crosses the river and takes him to Nanda Maharaj's house. So this person should be the same, right?
Yeah, we have to study this in the Janmashtami class, Krishna's birth appearance. Actually, Krishna took birth both in Nanda Gokul as the son of Yashoda, and he took birth here in Devaki's womb, who is Vasudev Krishna. And also Yogamaya took birth along with Yashoda. And then when Vasudev took Vasudev Krishna,
Yeah.
crossed Gokul, by Yogamaya, Vasudev could not see that there is boy and a girl there. By Yogamaya covered him. He could not see the boy. He only saw the girl. And so he kept the boy, Vasudev Krishna, and picked up the girl, who is Yogamaya. And there were two Krishnas now. One is Vasudev Krishna, another is Sham Sundar Krishna, and the two merged as one. So within Avatari Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna, Sham Sundar Krishna, there is Dwarka Krishna, Mathura Krishna, all Vishnu avatars are there in him. And Yog Maya, when she went on the other side, she transformed herself into Mahamaya as what? Durga. And Kamsa, Kamsa had the darshan of Durga in the eight-handed form. So like that, Yogamaya remains in a hidden form in Braj in order to facilitate the pastimes of Krishna. So that's why Yogamaya remained in the incognito form there, and she is not considered as the daughter of Yashoda. Although she was born out of Yashoda. Is it okay?